My dear friends, it's great to see you again. In case we haven't been introduced, I'm Stephen Clements, a writer, gamer, and appreciator of big brain activities in general. And on this channel, I perform dramatic story readings, I provide role-playing game and movie reviews, and I get to talk to interesting people. And in this episode, we are finishing up the dramatic reading of short story Bumpi Takes Over from short story collection Memphis Dirty, Tales from the Dirty South. Now this one is penned by me, and if you haven't seen part 1 and part 2, you might want to check those out. They are a single short story, and they form an overarching story that runs throughout the collection that starts with the Tea House of Our Revolution and The Runner. So you want to check those out as well. And if you want a copy of Memphis Dirty, just go on Amazon. They're available for pretty cheap. And there's a lot of good stuff in here from me and from other authors. And so, we come to the dramatic conclusion of Bumpi Obajawe seeking justice for the crimes done against his new homeland in Memphis, Tennessee. So here we go. That afternoon when Bumpi came to, he found himself unable to move. It wasn't because anybody had tied him up, but it did have something to do with the epic beatdown that Devon and Willie's goons had just paid to his account last night. Every breath felt like he was sucking fire. When he rolled from his side, his joints felt brittle, as though they were about to break apart. His entire body felt sore, like he was one big bruise holding together a bag of fractured bones. He hadn't felt this bad since the UN peacekeepers had played hide-and-seek with him in their Jeep. He knew he wasn't going to die on this firm, doily-addled daybed, but part of him wished he could. He felt some grief for the nice woman and the friends of the dead young man. But for Bumpi, he had seen far too much death. He had seen it too many times up close. He had heard it whistle to him like a piper, enticing him to a home he didn't want to go to. Knowing he should feel bad for them was the best he could do emotionally. Casting their Satan down from his throne was the only thing he could do to make Rio's sacrifice worth it. But for now, the searing ache inside him was his only companion, until he heard a light tap on the door. "Come in," he said in his clean, blunt accent. The chunky glass doorknob clunked open, and in stepped one of the rarest sights Bumpi would ever see, a white man in South Memphis. This one was slightly tanned from the sun, not a bottle. He had short, spiked dark hair and wore a black gold pinstripe suit. He reached his free hand out to Bumpi with the swagger of a good car salesman welcoming Bumpi to his lot. He sat down and whipped off his gold aviators as he firmly pressed his soft, strong hand with Bumpi's hard, bony fingers. "I'm truly sorry for what happened. Rio was a good guy. He was really smart, had a lot of potential. He believed in the cause." Bumpi ignored the pain and sat up indignantly at the assertion that there was a cause worth that mother's tears. "What do you mean, he believed in the cause? You think he was a soldier for you in this place?" "Yes, that's exactly what I mean. Not really for me, but..." "Who are you, white man, that thinks he can have black men fight and die for you? What kind of piece of shit cause did you have him die for? What gang do you run that uses our lives for your own gain?" Bumpi finished, his anger on clear display. "Sir, you misunderstand me. He died for you," the white man said, his voice soft. Bumpi didn't take his meaning. Rio and his boys wanted better for Memphis. Me and my boys wanted better for Memphis, and so did others. But to be honest, we grew so used to the shithole we're in, we forgot that we could shovel it out. Duke Willie hasn't been challenged since his 4th year in office, 16 years ago. We just assumed he'd always be there, fucking up everything for everybody until the stars burned out like some asshole pharaoh. But you showed us wrong. The incredibly ebony man listened. "Bumpi, this isn't my war. This is our war. You started this fight because you were sick of living like this. My people, Rio's people, other people in the city, you woke us up. You reminded us that we could do more if we'd quit our bitching and do the right thing." Bumpi was awed. He knew he was doing something important, but he hadn't really thought through the vigilante crusade he launched. He was just sick of living under constant threat of violent murder at the hands of those in charge. It had never occurred to him that things might change. He'd figured he'd piss off the right people and wind up dead, but then he wouldn't have to deal with it anymore. He had never counted on anyone else caring. His burning ribs heaved. as he started to tear up against his will. The white man leaned in, whispering, "We're going to get you out of here. You're going to get better, and then we're going to finish this together." Duke Willie kicked his fuzzy white slippers up onto the glass tabletop, smoldering cigar in his mouth, watching those white women wrestle in his pool. The night air helped steady his mind through the cocaine rush and the marijuana mellow. He swapped the cigar for a snifter of Courvoisier and a smile as he watched those fucking whores tear their tops off. He looked around his backyard recreation area with the basketball court where his boys were playing, his swimming pool, and a hot tub full of hot young bitches, and all the verdant greenery and faux marble statues around the garden framing it all. Life had gotten complicated with all his money makers getting turned over to actual cops and that fucking African closing in on him. Things had gotten hot in town, and with all the evidence that was getting collected on him, Willie had announced he was considering retirement. That was before he heard how his riders had taken care of business, though. Life was all good now. The sound of pistol clips sliding into place and revolver rounds being flipped into chamber clicked under the cover of darkness. A dozen people had this quiet hidden cove on lockdown. Princess checked his silver-plated revolver one last time. "You ready for the final act?" he asked the tall African who made all this possible. Bumpi stacked his nickel-plated Desert Eagle and stared at the instrument of death. "It is time for we all to play our parts," he looked Princess in the eyes. "Tomorrow is a new day, or the hell of today stretches on forever." Princess inspected the group assembled, including Spectre, Bumpi, Ol Harding, Leon, a heeled Jerome, Four-Way, and members of every angry constituency in Memphis that wanted to see Duke Willie brought down with extreme prejudice. "Looks good," he muttered. "Everybody remember their parts?" "I'm going to climb into this here death trap," said Harding, pointing to a modified industrial-use dump truck, "and I'm going to smash through the front gate and the rest of the house if all y'all getting pumped full of lead." "Good enough," agreed Spectre. "I'm going to take you ne'er-do-wells and clear the outlying buildings," he says, gesturing to almost half the group. "Jerome, you too, and I will enter and clear the main house," reminded Princess. "Four-Way, stay here and keep watch."
"Well, I'm going to pop a cap in some ass, yo,"
countered Four-Way as he rocked his .38 loaded with blanks. Jerome had loaded it for him, and like somebody who'd never actually hit a target before. "Exactly, and I'm afraid that ass will be one of ours. I've seen you shoot," said Leon. "You and Harding are to watch the entrance and keep an eye out for any funny business." Four-Way popped his bony chin high into the air, which measured almost 5 feet 6 inches from the ground. That would do, it seemed. Bumpi stopped and reflected. He was about to help bring down a dictator. Things might actually get better here in his new home, like they never would in the Congo. Leon prayed silently. Justice was about to be done, not just for him, but for everyone. Princess and Spectre had already come to terms with what trials and tribulations lay ahead in this crusade they were about to launch. It started now. Harding would be able to tell his grandson Rio that they finally got that dirty bastard next time he visited his grave. Harding knew Rio was in heaven watching. He would see his people freed from Pharaoh. Duke Willie mused to himself how he probably had another 12 years in power if his luck held, and he could die of a stroke while making it rain on some bitches. That bootlick newspaper would never reveal all the details of his dirty business, assuming the Memphis PD even gave it to them. He laughed as he thought about the looks on the faces of the sad Sac City reporter and his editor if the police showed it to them, just to fuck with them. "Oh, that would be sweet," he started to say. A loud splash interrupted his reverie. Duke Willie looked down at the pool, expecting to see some giggling nymphs make it with a splishy splashy. What he saw was Devon's fat ass in his suit floating in the water. No, that's not sexy at all, he thought. It took a minute for his drug-addled perceptions to register the screaming of the girls as they ran away from the pool, but when it did, he got really alarmed. Alarmed enough for a stoned man to stand up. I don't know if you've ever been stoned, but that is a big deal. Looking around his backyard, he didn't see any of his bitches anywhere. The basketball was on the court, and that was the only thing the spotlight showed. He staggered in his terry cloth robe, looking for any sign of normalcy. "Where'd everybody go?" he muttered to nobody else. As his gaze wandered, he caught a glimpse of something as high and dark as a black sun between him and his swimming pool. "Ha!" he panted in fear, staggering back on his flip-flops. "Do not move, Duke Willie. Yes, I am talking to you. ordered Bumpi, standing there in a black tracksuit. "Oh, shit," Willie said breathlessly, raising his hands in a pantomime of self-defense. Once upon a time, those hands were powerful and could drop even strongmen with a single blow. Now they were so rotten with sin and age that they were only useful for clubbing the defenseless. "I thought you was dead." Bumpi cocked the nickel-plated Desert Eagle in his left hand. Willie's eyes focused at the sound. "Now that I have your attention, it is good for you to know that you are surrounded. All of your real peoples cannot help you now," he continued in his halting, powerful English. Duke Willie nodded his gray head in understanding. "Okay, if that's how it's got to go down, I got you." Bumpi was secretly relieved to hear the resignation in Duke Willie's voice. He and the rest of the crew had taken down Willie's men and servants without firing a shot, no casualties on either side. Maybe the bloodshed had already stopped. "Motherfucker!" screamed Duke Willie as he pulled a 9mm pistol out of his slightly damp white terry cloth robe and started shooting. He didn't give a damn how that African bastard got past security. Willie was a fighter, and he would handle this bullshit his own self. Bumpi dropped expertly down to the ground immediately, having an unfortunate amount of experience in dodging bullets. He cursed himself for walking out into the open with no cover. But damn it, how many people carry around guns in their bathrobes? But Bumpi had cover, of the kind that shoots at the guy shooting at you. Leon stepped out from behind the brick wall at the edge of the house to fire a controlled pair of shots, hoping to suppress or scare into submission Duke Willie. Leon was burning for revenge, but he and all the rest had to remember, Duke Willie was still the mayor of the city. It wouldn't do to leave a man like that in a pool of lead and blood when they were trying to make this a better place. They had to take him alive. One shot tore through the sleeve of Willie's left arm, but bit no flesh. Willie turned and fired at Leon's head and would have put some nasty perforations in it had Leon not ducked back into the shadows. Bumpi scrambled to take Willie's legs out from under him, but he was too slow. Duke Willie frog stomped him with both feet into the travertine marble. Bumpi collapsed onto the ground, the wind crushed out of his lungs. Duke Willie raised a flip-flop up to bring down on the African Avenger's head, but before he could, Spectre appeared out of the darkness with a flying dropkick, knocking Willie off his prey. Duke Willie fell to the ground, and Spectre landed with a loud thud. "Ah! My back's not as young as it used to be! Ah!" the nice 60-year-old man in black exclaimed. Princess rushed through the glass doors, leading from the living room out to the pool, bringing a shiny black dress shoe up into Willie's massive face. The mayor flopped back down to the ground, but when Princess reared back for another stroke, Willie grabbed the shiny, freshly polished shoe still on the ground and pulled, sending the dark-haired assailant to join a gasping Bumpi on the travertine. Duke Willie barely had time to wipe the blood from his eyebrow, staining his clean white robe crimson, when the guardians of the gate, Old Harding and Fourway, came screaming out of the house at him. Reclaiming his ground, Duke Willie dealt with them one fist at a time. One ham-sized fist planted a well-aimed shot so pretty to make even the most paid-off boxing judge swoon firmly into the squished face of Fourway, knocking him out cold. His right hand grabbed Harding by the sweater vest and pulled him forward, throwing the old man off balance. With Fourway down, Willie turned to the senior citizen and pushed him into the pool. By this time, Bumpi's breath had returned enough for him to begin to rise. Problem was, Duke Willie was already up and within ass-kicking distance. Willie put his considerable weight behind the fist he brought across Bumpi's face, dazing, but not sending him down. No, Duke Willie grabbed Bumpi up by his collar and flung him into the roiling waters to join a splashing and kicking Harding. Willie bent down to pick up the Desert Eagle that had just been in his face. It was time for these punk bitches to get what was coming to them, he decided. Taking it in hand, he aimed it first at that damn African. Then he would take the old man. Those little fuckers, Princess and Spectre, were next. And then that punk Leon was gonna get his scores settled. Or that was his plan, at least, until he heard the gunshots going off all around him. He didn't take the time to look for the myriad directions they were coming from. He just took off running for the grill pit. Willie remembered that the grill was surrounded by brick walls that had a better chance of stopping a bullet than terry cloth. As the rounds blasted all around him, causing a secondary chorus of busting glass and breaking bricks, Duke Willie ran, every second in his adrenaline and drug-addled mind soaking in the thrill of the fight. It was on! Duke Willie leapt across the grill pit wall, shockingly agile for a 60-plus-year-old man. He rolled in the air, landing on his back. His face was overtaken by an excited leer, and immediately crestfallen when a shiny .38 revolver started pointing right between his eyes. Leon smiled at him, half of his caramel and black visage illuminated by the light of the court beside him. Willie looked at him, still except for his heavy breathing. Man, Leon wanted to pull that trigger. His mama, his woman, his life had been wrecked by this man. Sure, he and the gang had agreed to a plan on what to do with Willie, but plans can get screwed up and not go the way you wanted to. Now a bullet, well, that just goes the way you point it. It's simple that way. There wouldn't be no squabbling or figuring out what to do with Willie or the threat he might make a comeback. Simplicity was just a away. But Leon was a man of his word, a man of honor. His mama wouldn't want her boy to become a killer. Jesus never told him to kill nobody. Leon motioned for Willie to get up and back over to the pool. Putting down the Desert Eagle, Willie got up, raising his hands to show he was defenseless. Leon walked him over to the rest of the crew, who had gotten off their backs and out of the pool. Regardless of how they got there, they were all angry. Princess snatched up the Desert Eagle, handing it back to Bumpi, the man who had made all this possible. Arraying themselves in a firing line, every gun was cocked and aimed. Willie stopped where Leon directed him, kneeling down where he stopped. Not looking up, Duke Willie said, "I'm ready. Go ahead and do it." "Do what?" Bumpi said. Now Willie was the one getting impatient. He looked up at the African to tell him, "Listen, are you going to put a bullet in my head or what? That's what you came for, right? To kill me?" Bumpi's face showed his desire for revenge for the blood that was spilled, but it was replaced by restraint. There was some Old Testament justice that he had the chance to lay down right now. "No, you are the mayor. This is a place where votes make the laws. So no, I will not kill you, though you deserve it. You have all the blood on your hands to make it right." Exasperated, Duke Willie asked, "So why did y'all cock your shit and aim it at me?" "To get your attention," said Spectre. Willie was partly relieved, offering, "Then what the fuck are we doing here? I got some blow, let's draw a line and talk this out." "No drugs," answered Bumpi. "You will resign tonight. You will no more be mayor of this city. You will go away and hurt these people no more." Before Willie could respond, strolling out into the backyard came A.J. Plimpton, a dapper, older black gentleman with a pep in his step. He started talking before he saw the shit that was going down, saying, "Hey, Willie, the door was open, so I just let myself—" "Oh, hell no!" Willie saw a desperate opportunity and tried to take it. "AJ, come over here. I want you guys to meet my campaign manager, AJ. Come on, AJ." Without missing a beat, AJ rocked back on his heels and snapped his fingers, pointing at the erstwhile mayor. "I'm good. Y'all have a nice night," he said as he turned on his heels and sauntered out. Willie spat out, "Oh, shit." Bumpi ordered, "Willie, you will step down. Now and for good. Never trouble Memphis again." He was stuck. Willie started to nod his head in acceptance. Suddenly, Princess barked at him, "And then you're going to stand for re-election and fuck it all up." The group went quiet, unsure of what to say. The look of stunned bewilderment on Willie's face summed up the feelings of the group. "Why would I do that?" Princess energetically stammered out his explanation. "Because then your backers will know you're a crazy fuck-up they can't trust anymore. You'll burn all your political capital and any goodwill you had left in the city. No one will trust you to clean toilets when it's all done." Even though Willie was on his knees with half a dozen guns pointed at him, he didn't even try to disguise his disgust. "That's stupid," he said. Leon joined in, saying, "Yeah, he should just step down. The rest of that kind of seems unnecessary." The rest of the group nodded their heads, except for Spectre. He just smiled. Princess persevered. "Shut up! I'm really high right now, and I'm the one with the masters in political science. So just shut up and go with it." As the talkers of the group started arguing over what Duke Willie was to do to ensure that he would never be a pox on the people of Memphis again, Bumpi uncocked his gun and relaxed. While Duke Willie stood on his knees and intense confusion overtook him, Bumpi was glad this drama was over. In a very real way, he had given back to the country that gave him this chance at a better life. In gratitude for sparking the revolution that would bring down this tyrant, Spectre and Princess were even now arranging for his mom and little brother to come join him in a little house where they all could live. Sure, he had helped put those two drug lords with hearts of gold in charge of the largest transportation hub on Earth, but Bumpi felt like he was the one on top of the world. After all, he started his new job at McDonald's on Monday. God bless Memphis. And thus concludes Bumpi Takes Over. So, if you take a look into the saga of Duke Willie in Memphis, you're going to find a very bizarre episode towards the end of his time in power where he decided to step down after almost 20 years of being mayor. He could have stayed in there till he died, probably. But while we're all trying to figure out why he was doing that, he said that he was going to run again for the job he just resigned from. Well, he wound up losing, and the mayors since him, they haven't been good for Memphis, but they haven't been openly malevolent either. So that is an improvement. And apparently Willie decided to keep running after that, he kept losing. So I don't know what the hell the guy's on about. So this is my stab at an attempt of explaining why the hell he did what he did. He's a very colorful character, not a good person in the slightest, but if you want to be entertained by a high-profile criminal in charge of one of the large cities in America, Willie Harrington, you'll be sad you did. So I hope you enjoyed Bumpi Takes Over and Memphis Dirty, Tales from the Dirty South. If you did, give me a like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. Drop a comment below with what you think, or if you have other cities where they got stories as sordid as that one. Well, my dear friends, that's what I got for today. So until next time, I wish you nothing but the best. Make me rich, people. I swear you'll get a spot on my cocaine yacht.